Right then, let's dive in. And calling this an international break just doesn't feel right this time, does it? Normally, we get a couple of quiet weeks, maybe a chance to breathe, switch off a wee bit, and let the dust settle around Celtic Park. But this one's been anything but quiet. It's been wall-to-wall chaos, and not the kind we enjoy. For supporters who tend to focus more on what's happening on the pitch, it's felt like trying to drink from a fire hose. The noise around the club right now is deafening, and for good reason. The unity among the Celtic support has been one of the most striking things. Across forums, fan pages, and supporter groups, there's a rare and powerful sense of alignment. Everyone, or nearly everyone, seems to be pulling in the same direction, and that direction is pointing squarely at the Celtic board. Over the past few days, we've seen a wave of official votes of no confidence from key supporter groups. The Green Brigade, Boys Celtic, North Curve Celtic, and the Celtic Trust put out a joint statement that didn't mince words. They made it clear that further, more drastic action is on the table. Shortly after, the affiliation of registered Celtic supporters clubs held their own vote of no confidence. Then came the Celtic Supporters Association with theirs. Even the Association of Irish CSCs joined the fray, issuing a fierce statement expressing total disappointment in the board's recent handling of the situation. Now, it's easy to assume that these groups speak only for their own members. But let's be honest, this isn't just a few isolated voices in the wind. These organizations reflect the temperature of the wider Celtic fan base. And the thermometer is about to burst. There's a collective frustration brewing, and it's not just about poor form or dropped points. This goes deeper. It's about how the club is being run, about the lack of communication, and about the growing disconnect between the people in the boardroom and the people in the stands. The kind of solidarity we're seeing now off the pitch is almost unprecedented. On the pitch, of course we all want Celtic to win. That's a given. But off the pitch, this level of agreement is rare. And it's powerful. Still, statements and votes are one thing. Action is another. And more, the feeling is that it's time for something concrete. That limp, tone-deaf statement from the club on Saturday night only poured more fuel on the fire. It was a bin fire of PR nonsense that did absolutely nothing to address the fans' concerns. If anything, it showed us exactly why pushing harder is necessary now. Because the current board? They're not moving unless they're forced to. What's become very clear, especially during moments like this, and like the 2020 to 2021 season, is just how many different supporter groups Celtic actually has. From the Green Brigade and the North Curve to the affiliation and the Celtic Trust, everyone's got their own structure, their own ways of operating. And while they all serve a purpose, what we really need now is unity. Not just in spirit, but in action. A single, coordinated strategy that puts pressure where it's needed and makes it impossible for the board to ignore. That brings us to this new survey that's been doing the rounds, titled Fan Action, Next Steps. It was released by North Curve Celtic, but it's important to understand that they're only facilitating it. This isn't about one group leading the charge. It's about gauging the mood of the support and building a consensus on what to do next. The idea is to use the responses to inform discussions at a larger fan meeting. And hopefully, that'll help the support rally around a clear, agreed-upon plan of action. The survey itself is pretty extensive, 12 or 13 questions covering everything from confidence in board members like Michael Nicholson and Peter Lawwell to what kind of protest actions people would be willing to back. It includes things like withdrawing from the home cup ticket scheme, staging silent protests, leaving matches early, or even boycotting entirely. And that's where things get tricky, because protest, especially protest that impacts the matchday experience, can be divisive. There are valid concerns about how far we should go. No one wants to hurt the team. Boycotting games, that's a serious move, and not everyone is comfortable with that. It puts the players in the firing line when they're not the ones making these decisions. But if the board won't listen to polite discontent, then maybe the stakes need to be raised. Even if we don't jump to the most extreme measures right away, just the idea of collective action, something broad and unified, could be enough to shift the balance. The key here is solidarity. The board is undoubtedly hoping the support fractures, that we fall out among ourselves, that some start blaming the players, the manager, or even other fans. They're counting on that division to protect themselves. You could even see it in that disastrous Saturday night statement. The wee digs at Rangers, the attempts to deflect. It's a classic move, distract and divide. But if the support stays aligned, if we move together, even if it's just taking that first step in protest, then we show them that this isn't going away. Personally, I reckon a more measured step first could be the right approach, something that gets the point across but keeps everyone united. Maybe it's time to withdraw from certain club schemes or hold silent protests inside the stadium. Something highly visible, but that doesn't cross the line into damaging the team on the pitch. Because like it or not, we still need to back the players. They're not the enemy here. Brendan Rodgers and the squad need our support now more than ever. And if Sunday at Rugby Park is anything to go by, the fans are going to be in full voice, not just for the team, but against the board as well. North Curve have also said the results of the survey will be shared with signatories at a fan meeting set for Wednesday. That open letter they released a wee while back, it's now got over 420 signatures, and those names will be published in full. That's not a small group. That's hundreds of people willing to put their names to a cause. This isn't just a few angry voices shouting into the void. This is something more. So that's where we are off the pitch. And let's be honest, it's been exhausting just trying to keep up with it all. But it matters, because how this club is run, how it communicates with us, how it treats its own, that goes beyond results and trophies. That's about identity. It's about what Celtic means to the people who fill those stands, travel those miles, and carry the badge every day. Right? Shifting gears a bit now, because while all that noise off the pitch keeps growing louder, there's still football to be played. And believe it or not, amidst the chaos, Celtic did actually give us a small glimpse into the football side of things this week. The club dropped some new footage from training at Lennoxtown, and what caught a lot of people's attention wasn't just who was on the pitch, but where the footage appeared. No Celtic TV paywall this time. Nope. They put it straight on YouTube for free. Full clip, no teaser, no subscription needed. Now, you can read into that what you want, but it definitely felt like a strategic move. Maybe even an attempt to regain a bit of favor with fans, to show something more human behind all the boardroom drama. Or, maybe, just maybe, a tiny olive branch, saying, look, we know you're fed up, here's something. And in fairness, it was decent to see some of the new faces in action. Misha Lang, Cleta Iano, Balisha, and Marcelo Saraj all featured. They looked sharp, focused, engaged. Obviously, it's just a training session. You can't take too much from a 5-minute clip, but the vibes weren't terrible. No sign of Sebastian Tinei, though he's away on international duty with Tunisia and actually came off the bench for the final few minutes in their win over Equatorial Guinea. They scored a late winner in the 94th minute, and it secured their qualification for the World Cup next year. That's 3 in a row for Tunisia now, and Sebastian will absolutely be fighting to earn a seat on that plane. Watching the clip, he was right there in the mix for the winning goal, a split second away from maybe being the one to tuck it away himself. That's the level of competition he's playing in right now. Proper pressure. And hopefully, that hunger spills over into his performances when he's back in green and white. Now, I know some supporters are still getting familiar with players like Tinei. He's not exactly a household name yet, but there's promise there, and plenty of fans are hoping he'll get a proper run soon. Same goes for Balisha and Iano. The feeling is that we need these guys to inject a bit of life into what's looked like a flat, disjointed squad at times. There's no question the recent performances, especially against Chad and that horror show at Ibrox, have been far below the standard. It's not just that we've been losing. It's how we've been losing. No cutting edge. No spark. Players looking lost. And fans growing more and more frustrated. Some of that frustration has even spilled into speculation about dressing room morale. We've already heard whispers that a couple of players aren't exactly thrilled, Daisen Maeda and Young being the main ones mentioned. And when the team's underperforming, those kinds of murmurs only grow louder. But again, the international break might just be the reset button we needed. A chance to regroup, reassess, and hopefully make the right calls heading into a critical spell. And Sunday, make no mistake, is critical. Rugby Park might not be the biggest stage, but this game feels massive. The kind of fork-in-the-road moment that could define how this next chapter unfolds. Do we come out flat again, dragging ourselves through another uninspired 90 minutes? Or do we see something different, a reaction, a spark, a bit of fire? Brendan Rodgers has some big decisions to make. He can't stick with the same lineup that's let him down in recent weeks. The fans want changes, not for the sake of it, but because it's obvious that something hasn't been clicking. Personally, I think Tanky has to start. The energy and unpredictability he brings could give us a completely different look in attack. Bali Shah needs to stay in the lineup as well, not just because of what he did last match, but because he's one of the few who looks like he's actually trying to make things happen. I'd even consider putting Shun through the middle. Might raise a few eyebrows, but why not? We need someone willing to fight for every ball, someone hungry. As for Daisen, he's been away with Japan, and while he's a player we all admire for his work rate, maybe it's time he has to earn his place again. A wee spell on the bench might do him good. Light that fire again. Make him fight for his spot, the same way others have to. That sense of complacency, if it's crept in, needs to be wiped out. Midfield's another area crying out for a bit of freshness. Luke McCowan and Porto have both been pushing for minutes, and it's maybe time to see what they can offer from the start. Kobe Donovan could also be an option at right back. He wasn't spotted in training, but that's because he's away with Scotland's under-21s. Played a full 90 minutes against Czech Republic and should be featuring again against Portugal. If he comes through that unscathed, he could be ready to go by Sunday. And look, we don't need a complete overhaul. Just a few key tweaks, some brave calls from Rodgers, and a bit of clarity in our game plan. Because right now, it's all felt a bit confused. Possession without purpose. Attacks that go nowhere. Players looking like they're stuck in two minds. That's not the Celtic we know. And in the middle of all this, you've got young players, new signings, guys who are still trying to find their feet, and they're coming into a team that feels unsure of itself. That's why it's so important that the support inside the ground on Sunday makes it clear we're behind the team. We might be furious with the board, but we're still backing the badge on the shirt. Loud and proud. Let the board hear the frustration, but let the players feel the support. Because they'll need it. One player who's already moved on, though, is Adam Ida. While away with the Republic of Ireland, he gave what might be his first proper interview since leaving Celtic. And the headlines, as always, blew things way out of proportion. Talk of hate and torture made it sound like he'd just escaped some kind of nightmare. But if you actually read what he said, it's a lot more balanced than that. He talked about pressure, sure. Said it can be tough, that if you have a bad game, it feels like the world's against you. But he also said Celtic's one of the biggest clubs in the world. Said it was the best experience of his career. That he had brilliant memories. That he's got nothing bad to say about the club. And that, when you're playing well, it's the best place to be. And he's not wrong. Celtic is a pressure cooker. That's part of the job. That's part of what makes the highs so high. But Ida stepped up when we needed him. Big moments, big goals. Helped us lift trophies. And for that, he'll always be remembered. Maybe not as a legend, but as a player who came in, gave everything, and left with his head held high. So as we look ahead to Sunday and beyond, it's worth keeping all of this in mind. The boardroom battles, the protests, the frustration, they're all real. But so is the football. And right now, the players and the manager need us. Because if we're going to turn this around, on the pitch and off it, it's going to take all of us pulling in the same direction. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The latest murmur swirling around the green and white corridors of Glasgow is one that's left supporters shaking their heads in disbelief. Word is spreading that Celtic's much-anticipated move for JAKOB Breuum has collapsed in dramatic fashion. The Danish youngster, long tipped as one of Scandinavia's brightest attacking talents, had been heavily linked with a switch to Parkhead in recent weeks. Yet, just as fans began to dream of what he might bring to the forward line, whispers suggest the deal has gone cold, with negotiations breaking down at the final hurdle. The noise began late last night, when insiders close to the talks hinted that the two parties were miles apart on personal terms. Some say it was the players' camp pushing for assurances over game time, while others insist it was a financial stumbling block that Celtic refused to budge on. Either way, the picture is grim. Breuum, once seemingly destined to wear the famous hoops, may now remain on the continent as other suitors circle. What makes the story all the more bizarre is the timing. Celtic's recruitment drive had been praised for its precision this summer, with the board keen to back the manager and strengthen key areas. Breuum, Quick on the ball and brimming with potential, looked tailor-made for the system. Fans had already filled message boards with excitement, comparing him to past Scandinavian successes in the Scottish game. Now, those same forums are buzzing with frustration, some accusing the club hierarchy of failing to get the deal over the line, others blaming agents for playing hardball. Of course, nothing in football is final until the ink is dry, and there remains a faint chance that bridges could be rebuilt. Yet for the moment, the mood in Glasgow is one of disappointment, mixed with a pinch of anger. The sense of what might have been lingers heavily. If Celtic do not move swiftly to secure an alternative, this episode could hang over the season like a dark cloud. The rumor mill will churn on, but the word on the street is clear. The Broum deal, once so close, has fallen apart in truly absurd fashion. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.